Have you ever tried to start a good habit, but you just weren't able to stick with it? Maybe you want to learn how to play an instrument or read more or be a little healthier, and you've tried in the past, but just nothing seemed to work. Well, in today's video, we're going to answer how you can have those good habits. Hey, my name is Michael Thompson, and today we're going to be doing a book review of a very popular book, Atomic Habits. And guys, this is one of my favorites. I've talked about this book with several people, and we're going to look at how to build habits, how to maintain them, and then the downside of habits. When it comes to building habits, there's 4 laws you need to know. The first law is make it obvious. There's an experiment done that is cited in this book where different water bottles were placed all around the room, and the more available and the more visible water was to the people in the experiment, the more likely they were to drink it. And you can do the same thing in your life. When it comes to eating, change what's in the pantry. Things don't need to be as visible that aren't as healthy. When it comes to, say, you want to grow more in your spiritual life, so make sure that the Bible is more visible on your nightstand. Maybe you want to play guitar, make that more visible in your living room. Make sure that you make something obvious that you want to do more of. The second law is make it attractive. This law says that the more attractive an opportunity is, the more likely that it will be habit forming. So if you want to get more work done during the workday, it's helpful to have a clean desk because it's more attractive, it's more inviting that you can do over and over again that'll become a habit. So put a reward in place is another way that you can make something attractive. So whenever you have to go to the gym, say, you know what, I want to watch this TV show, but I need to go to the gym. So I'm going to let myself watch TV while I'm on the treadmill. Or after I go to the gym, I'm going to be able to do that thing that I want to do. So you're making something more attractive. This action that isn't otherwise as attractive is more desirable to do whenever you have something fun that's going to be at the end. You can also do this with your existing habits. There's this idea mentioned in the book called habit stacking. When I finish this task, I will start this task. And if you have 20 things that need to get done, making some of them go right after the other one is helpful so that you can do things more consistently. An example is, every day you're going to sit down in your chair to begin work. So you can tell yourself, when I sit down, I will first check my calendar to see what's going on. Or on Friday, when I sit down right after lunch, I will line up what I'm going to do the next week so that I could just start the week and not have to worry about if my priorities are in place. The third law for building good habits is make it easy. This law is the idea of walk slowly but never backwards. A lot of times if we say, I want to learn an instrument, then we say, I'm going to practice 20 minutes a day. Well, 20 minutes a day is a lot, especially if you're going to do something 5, 6 times a week. So don't start there, start smaller. If you want to become healthier, don't say, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour every single day, 5 days a week. It's a huge commitment and is potentially too difficult to do if you don't enjoy that specific task yet. So start small. Say, I'm only going to walk for 10 minutes a day, but I'm going to do it 5 days a week. Whatever you decide to do, don't make it too difficult because then that's going to make it less likely to be done. Make it easy enough that it's not too difficult to do. And there's another illustration in this chapter with people taking pictures. So when you're going to decide, I'm going to learn this task, don't make it too hard, but also remember it's doing it over and over and over and over again that gets you good, not just having one perfect opportunity or one perfect experience. So he uses the illustration of people who were given the task of taking a perfect picture, and they were in a photo competition, but what they found was the people who tried to produce one picture, they didn't take very many, they only took a few, and they tried to get that one perfect picture. They did not do nearly as well as the people who just took tons of pictures, tried to learn the craft while they did it. So the people who were just doing it a lot more tended to have a much better result. And it's the same way whenever you're learning whatever you want to learn. Do it small, do it over a long period of time, and it's practice, not planning, that gets you better at a task. Now, the helpful thing with a habit is eventually when you do something a lot, what's called automaticity comes into play, where it's like from the word automatic, you start doing something without having to think about it. So when you first start to have a good habit in life, you try to learn something, it takes a lot of willpower. Well, you only have, say, 10 cups of willpower every single day. And if you spend 8 of them on going to the gym in the morning, that's a good way to spend them. But you just got to remember until you become automatic at that thing, you don't get your cups of willpower back. So originally it takes 8 cups, but after you do something for 3 weeks, it takes 7 cups and then 6 cups of willpower. So you can use that willpower on other things to build other good habits. Well, if you try to get 10 good habits all at once, you're not going to be able to stick up with, or you're not going to be able to keep all of them up, because all your willpower is expended on the first 2 habits and you still have 8 more that you're trying to do. So do one thing at a time. Don't make it too difficult, so that you can use your cups of willpower. And once it becomes a habit and it becomes automatic, now you can start another habit in a different area. There was also a study done on musicians, mathematicians, and taxi drivers. And this study showed part of their brain was much stronger. That was the routine-oriented one. It makes sense whenever you're doing math, you solve the same kinds of problems. You're strengthening part of your brain. And whenever these individuals tried to build other habits, they can be a lot more successful because they have spent that time doing something over and over again. So doing things over and over again is the way you get good at anything, and don't make it too difficult. The 4th law of building good habits is make it satisfying. There was a study done that showed whenever people would wash their hands, having a good smelling soap promoted them to wash their hands, because at the end of the task, they were satisfied by that smell. Same with brushing your teeth. Whenever the toothpaste has a minty flavor, there's more of a desire to make that habit. You're like, man, I have no problem brushing my teeth every day. Well, you've built that habit partially influenced by the fact that you have that minty or whatever flavored toothpaste you have, that satisfying experience at the end. So if you want to say you want to study more, okay, say, you know what, I want to watch this TV show. I can't do it while I'm studying. I can't watch this TV show until I finish studying, right? Or I want to stretch for 10 minutes. So after I stretch for 10 minutes, I'm going to have that drink that I want to have. Whatever it is, make that thing more satisfying. And the first 3 laws, they encourage this behavior to be done. And this last law of make it satisfying encourages this behavior to be done the next time. So if in your mind you remember, oh, I had that minty taste in my mouth, I want to brush my teeth again, you're leveraging that task to be performed the next time. So make your tasks satisfying. And ultimately, what is immediately rewarded is repeated, and then what is punished is avoided. So when you're trying to start a good habit, sometimes it feels very punishing to your body. So apply other things in the matrix so that you can want to do it the next time. Those are the 4 laws of building good habits. But once you've built the habit, how do you maintain it? Well, you got to remember the Goldilocks rule. The Goldilocks rule says that it's not too hard or it's not too soft, it's just right. That's ideal. Like I said earlier, whenever you're starting a new habit, you don't want to spend hours and hours and hours trying to learn that thing, because that's too hard, it's too difficult. But at the same time, if you want to go to the gym, you don't want to spend 2 minutes doing push-ups. You probably want to start with like 10 minutes. So don't make it too hard, don't make it too easy, so that something is just a little bit challenging, but not too much. That way it's more likely to be done in the future. You also need to remember that boredom is the greatest threat to success when you're trying to start something new. It's not necessarily failure because it's too difficult, it's boredom, because boredom can insert at any point when you're trying to learn something over a long period of time. So in order to eliminate boredom, make something just a little bit more challenging, but don't make it too challenging, because then you don't want to do it because it's too hard. So that Goldilocks rule, find something right in the sweet spot of difficulty, is the best way to go. Now, you may have been wondering, what is the downside of creating good habits? The upside is that you can do something that is improving your life over and over again without spending much mental effort towards whatever that thing is. But the downside is that you do something without thinking about it, which causes you to stop improving. And like with going to the gym, eventually your same routine, your body will become accustomed to, and it won't get sore or make improvements that you might be looking to make. It's the same if you play the same song over and over again on an instrument. Yes, you have the habit that you're doing consistently, but it's not the right difficulty, because now you can mindlessly perform that task. So remember this when you're building the good habits, so that you can keep improving while using the automaticity and not have to worry about making that decision every single time. James Clear says that once you have mastered something, you have to narrow your focus on what you're improving. And he defines mastery is the process of narrowing your focus to a tiny element of success. So once you get something down and you learn a certain task, you have to narrow that focus. You have to try to focus on something a little bit more difficult, or you're just gonna not be improving any longer. So those are the main lessons from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. Guys, this is a must read. It's also a really popular book, but for good reason, because there's material in there that is super helpful. So build the habits, maintain them, and then remember the downside is not continuing to improve. Use that when you're trying to build habits, and you're gonna be able to build those habits consistently, become the kind of person you want to become.